What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tide, and in today's episode, the very first epic variant review for Call of Duty Modern Warfare. In fact, today's video is the first of my Call of Duty Modern Warfare content on the channel, so if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any future content. You can also follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Both links are in the description down below, as well as a link to the official TidePod Discord, so you can check that out if you want. But in today's video, epic variant reviews. I wasn't expecting them to be back so soon, if at all. There was some kind of misinformation about variants in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, if they were going to be a thing or not, but they definitely totally are. They're just a little different than they were in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, where I'm best known for my epic variant reviews. So in Infinite Warfare, every variant had special perks allotted to it that completely statistically changed those weapons, whereas in Modern Warfare, the change isn't as drastic. Instead, variants in Modern Warfare are kind of custom mods of weapons, so you get a blueprint that has the base weapon with some kind of, usually an aesthetic change, so a camouflage or a different iron sight, and then it also comes with a certain set of preset attachments. Usually all of those attachments are building towards something, making your weapon very good in one particular area, and we're going to talk about that a little later in this video as we describe the very first epic variant. But these epic variants, they aren't as crazy out there different like the ones in Infinite Warfare. They're just kind of pre-built weapons that you can use, and you can of course take attachments off, add attachments on, whatever you want to do. But for the purposes of epic variant reviews, we're going to be talking about the weapons in their purest form. So when you get an epic variant and you put that weapon directly onto a class, what is that going to do for you? What do the attachments do for you? Is it worth running? Can I recommend it? So on and so forth. So without further ado, we're going to hop right into this review. Most of the reviews this year aren't going to be as long because I'm basically just reviewing a set of attachments that are equipped to a weapon and telling you if it's worth it or not to run that weapon. So the first weapon that we're looking at is the 725 Hammer, and this one is unlocked by reaching rank 10 during the Modern Warfare beta. So if you pre-ordered the game and you played in the beta and you got to rank 10, you should have this one unlocked. If you head to your 725 in your creator class and go over to the armory, you will see that you have the 725 Hammer, and this one does come with all 5 attachments. I believe all epic variants will have a full set of 5 attachments, and usually the appeal of epic variants is to get some of the later unlockable attachments right away, right now, because some of these weapons you could be using for hours before getting a specific attachment that makes it really good. So the attachments that you get with the 725 Hammer include the lightweight suppressor for the muzzle, which gives you sound suppression but takes away damage range. You have the sawed-off barrel, which adds to your ADS speed, gives you increased movement speed. A wider pellet spread, it also reduces your recoil control and your damage range. You have the PBX Holo 7 sight for your optic, and that's going to give you a precision sight picture. Most of the optics are all the same, and it's going to reduce your ADS speed slightly. The sawed-off stock increases your movement speed and your ADS speed, but reduces your aiming stability and recoil control. And the Commando foregrip for your underbarrel is going to increase your recoil stabilization and your aiming stability, but it is going to reduce your movement speed. Now, it goes without saying that the in-game attachments, pros, and cons section is to be taken with a grain of salt, as those are just generalized examples of what is happening with your weapon when you equip certain attachments to it, whereas on a data level, there are much greater things happening with your weapon when you equip certain attachments over others. So while I'll be summing up the total attributes from your attachments for each of my epic variant reviews, what you're really here for is the gameplay comment section, which will come afterwards. But first up, for those of you counting the total attributes for the 725 Hammer, you have increased sound suppression, a wider pellet spread, plus ADS speed, plus movement speed, plus recoil stabilization, but you're losing 2 damage range and 2 recoil control. So the 725 shotgun traditionally has the greatest range of any of the shotguns in the shotgun weapon class. It is basically a pocket sniper. It's honestly incredibly powerful. Some might even say overpowered in terms of shotgun range. Now, having less damage range on the 725 Hammer makes earning point-blank kills basically the only feasible way to use the weapon. Losing that much damage range really nerfs the entire point of having the 725 at all. So now you have to get in very, very, very close, because your pellets will literally evaporate before impact, even at a medium shotgun range. Your pellets will just go and they'll just disappear and you won't hit anybody. So I would highly recommend firing both barrels at basically every single enemy that you see, just for safety, security, peace of mind purposes, because if you shoot one shot, there's a good chance that it won't kill your enemy. This weapon doesn't have enough damage range to kill enemies even at close range with a single shot. So you're better off firing both barrels at every enemy you see. Unfortunately, that'll make multi-kills a little bit of an issue with this one. Given that there are only 2 barrels, you have to fire both at every enemy. If 2 enemies come through the door, you're probably going to die. And that's why I would recommend that you use the 725 hammer as a secondary weapon, or better yet, not at all. So I'd like to take a look at the 3 most notable attachments on the 725 hammer so that you guys can have a better idea of what this weapon has to offer and why I wouldn't recommend it. First up, the suppressor will keep you off the radar, but being a lightweight suppressor, it will sacrifice range to do so. There are other suppressors available in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, even on the unlock path for the 725 shotgun, that don't sacrifice range. You can now have a suppressor without losing range, and range is the last thing that you want to lose on a shotgun class. Look for the tactical suppressor, use that instead of the lightweight suppressor. The sawed-off barrel provides a wider pellet spread, and the game thinks that this is a positive. In the pros cons, this is a pro, and in some cases I could see that a wider pellet spread could be useful because it will help you to spray multiple enemies at a closer range and do a fair amount of damage to each of them. But the 725 is more of a pix shotgun. It's meant to aim down sights and slam an enemy with a tight cluster of pellets and kill them in one shot. That's the entire thing with the 725, and as soon as you saw off that barrel and have a wider pellet spread, you won't be able to do that anymore. On the positive side, as long as you're using this variant, you'll never need to aim down sights with this shotgun, as the pellet spread is roughly equivalent regardless of if you are hip firing or aiming down sights, whereas normally with shotguns, I would almost always recommend that you aim down sights as it usually tightens up the pellet spread, but for whatever reason, not with this shotgun. It's basically the exact same even if you hip fire, so aiming down sights, completely pointless. Last but far from least, the sawed-off stock is about the best attachment that you'll be getting with the 725 hammer, and even it will only provide you with a small, nearly insignificant bonus to movement speed. All of the attachments available on this epic variant, they're pretty unimpressive. Coupled with the unique camouflage, which is a muddy, assorted brown beige, sort of woodland-inspired camo that's really not worth writing home about, this weapon, in general, overall, it's a D tier. The only thing keeping this weapon from F tier is that it's not unusable. The only weapons that will ever land in F tier for me are the weapons that physically do not function and cannot get kills. This is just above that. There's no overall positive aspect or element to the 725 hammer. None of the attachments are worth your time. In fact, you'd probably be better off just using the base 725 from the get-go, instead of using this one and any of the attachments that it provides you. The 725 should be spec'd for extended range, not close quarters combat and mobility, which is what they're trying to do here. I understand what they are trying to do. They're trying to make it a very close quarters, get up in their face and shoot them and run and get to the next guy and shoot him. But honestly, a rushing playstyle doesn't really work too well in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and the only recommendation I can tell you for using this weapon is play those corners. You're going to want to bring a long-range secondary weapon, you're going to want to use Ghost, hide in a corner with a claymore, and wait for people to come around the corner. It's the only way that you're going to be able to get kills with this weapon, other than using stopping power rounds. So that's one way to use it, or you can just not. But that is it for my very first epic variant review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of the 725 hammer in the comment section down below. You can check out my links in the description, and I will catch you guys on the next video.